everybody. Hello, and thank you for watching Hot Flash Happy Hour here on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, y'all. And we got a special guest today on our show, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Jimmy. That's his new name, Mr. Jimmy, my beautiful co-host.
This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, Mr. Jimmy. Look for Mr. Jimmy. I won't say it.
Oh, we could say it. It's still,
It's a thing. Mr. Jimmy condoms are coming at you, people.
Yeah.
So
I want to do Mr. Jimmy condoms with my face right on the reservoir tip.
right off the bat, because talking about condoms already. It's a family show, allegedly. No, but yeah, welcome everybody again. I'm just trying to get back in the game. It takes me a minute to wake up sometimes. Even though it's 7 p.m.
Yeah, we'll tell people a secret. This one, Pat was nice enough to pre-record this one for us. We're here at the studio a little early today because we have some other obligations that we have to go hit up after this. Yeah, so.
Well, we're always here, so hey, what's up with that? So again, thanks for watching Hot Flash Happy Hour, and you can tell your friends and everything that we're streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. I keep forgetting Facebook. That's kind of like one of the main ones.
It's kind of the bread and butter
So
one.
So every Thursday at 7 to 8, you can see our show here right on WJZZ Cool TV. Tell your friends about it, like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. So we do have an announcement to make too. And tonight this is going on, people. So all you jazz lovers, tonight you want to head on out to the Hotel St. Regis in Detroit. We have the Detroit Legacy Jazz Series brought to you by WJZZ Radio. And we have Alan Denard as the featured guest tonight. And it's from 6 to 8 p.m. You can get your tickets at eventbrite.com. Just look for the Detroit Jazz Legacy Series. And join us tonight. I think I'm going to be there tonight. So come on down and say hello. Enjoy some great music and lovely cocktails and great people. So we'll see you tonight. Anyway,
on that note, Pat Smiley, how are you?
Yes. Our guest is Mr. Pat Smiley. This dude is a blues legend in my mind and many minds of many folks. And we share him with Chicago. So and we gladly share him, just like our John Watkins. We that's our sister blues city kind of now, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we've been a lot of few folks that we've encountered, and we're not like Ohio. We don't like Ohio. It's just could be a sports thing, but you're kind of born with it. So Chicago, we're buds.
Let's begin at the beginning. We do that usually. Yeah, like what got you into
when you
singing?
Were born a poor black child.
Where were you born? Yeah, were you born here or Chicago?
I was born in Detroit.
Okay.
And I grew up. Actually, was born on the west side.
All right.
We were over on.
How do you do that?
Then when I was about 4 years old, my folks moved out to the suburbs, out to South Lyon, and so I was raised, pretty much out that way. And I graduated from Detroit Catholic Central.
All right, now
in 1987. And so I don't know, and I joined my first band when I was like a junior in high school, but really I always had a love for music growing up. I used to play hockey, and my dad and I would drive to the games. It was always a long drive from South Lyon to St. Clair Shores or Inkster or wherever the games were. And so we'd always be listening to the oldie station, and there'd be a lot of doo-wop. And, I remember hearing Mitch Ryder, Jenny Take a Ride for the first time, the CC Rider, and I was like, that's my cut. I was a psyched. And so I just sort of came to a love of rock and roll music and old R&B that way.
That first band you were in, was that playing a lot of the songs that were popular at the time?
Covers. We were in high school. I remember our whole set was like Detroit artists. We did Hey Baby by Ted Nugent. Yeah. We did Heavy Music by Bob Seger. We did a Romantics tune.
Awesome.
It was great. So
you picked some awesome tunes to cover.
Were you were the Rationals did you listen to the Rationals back then? During
the
that
Rationals,
time?
I wasn't really
hip to
cognizant.
Because,
they were a little
smaller,
more obscure. For us. Yeah. But I was totally in the Romantics because this was like the early '80s when they were just really peaking. So and I remember being in like the hockey dressing room, and we had a buddy, one of our teammates this guy, I always remember Peter McNabb. He would always come with his jam box, and he had that First Romantics album.
Right.
And then he had Strictly Personal record. I mean, so much. So I was a huge fan of theirs, and Bob Seger, of course. My dad was way into Seger and had Live Bullets, so we listened to that a lot.
Well, Richard and Mike Skill from the Romantics. I hope you guys are watching and listening.
Yeah, I met
Richard's
Mike
been on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Mike just friended me last week. I wasn't sure. Yep. Yeah, but I didn't know he was part of that.
I met Mike on a Zoom call or something with over the pandemic.
I'd imagine those gigs back then too were probably like the talent shows, stuff like that.
They were like the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
They played at my old high school, but I hadn't made it to the high school yet. My sister was going there because Richard Cole went to St. Lad's in Hamtramck.
Okay.
So they played there in the gym, and I remember that. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Right. Well, our first gigs were like, we practiced in the basement and we got ready for the big Battle of the Bands. And our junior year, we lost to a senior band who was a punk group called Reign of Terror. And I remember they played like
great name.
I'm Not Your Stepping Stone. They did like some of those songs, and we were so like angry because they're like, that's totally political, So, but the next year as seniors, then we
right.
So,
you took the throne.
Right.
That's awesome.
Then I went to. I moved to Lansing to attend Michigan State University.
All right.
And it was really in the dorms there that I kind of got my first. This would have been like 88 or 89 that I got my first taste of like the Chicago blues. One of the guys in the hall had like this great live James Cotton album called Mr. Super Harp Live, James Cotton. And he also had another record by Big Twist and the Mellow Fellows, who were a big Chicago group at the time. Like a big R&B band with horns and everything.
Right.
And I just fell in love with those two records. And I remember we all decided to go on a trip to the Chicago Blues Festival to see Cotton headline.
Okay.
Oh,
So
nice.
I want to say that was maybe 1989 or 1990.
Mm-hmm.
We all drove out there and we stayed at one of the hotels. It must have been a group of about 6 or 7 of us from the dorm. And
I wonder what years, I wonder when John was playing with John Watkins.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that would be wild if he would have been like the one.
It's strange. I never I probably did run across John, but I never met him when I lived there.
Yeah. Chicago's a big city.
Yeah. But as soon as I heard him play here, I'm like, oh, that guy's
he's from there.
He's from Chicago. He's the only one that I've ran across who really has that sound. You know what I mean? I'm like, I could tell it felt like it kind of felt warm and comfy to me. I'm like, I'm back at the checkerboard again.
We'll have to get him back on the show, and then
apologies again to Carl and John. Were supposed to be on the show last week, but then I got sick. I didn't want to be exposing people. I had to make sure I didn't have anything bad.
Yeah, we're gonna reschedule you guys real soon.
I knew too. I figured that like John, as soon as he had known one of my favorite guys from Chicago is a more obscure guitar player. His name's Luther Tucker, and John right away was like, "Oh, I know Luther. I know." Like it was. It was pretty cool that like to have those connections.
Right.
So. Sorry, back to your story.
Okay.
So
then I moved to Chicago in 1992 to under the auspices of attending graduate school at Loyola.
Oh, okay.
And I lasted a few years.
Yeah,
But in the evening, I would go. The first couple of years, I had no car. So I was kind of limited by where I could take the L.
Yeah.
Right.
So I explored some of the North Side clubs, Blues on Halstead, Kingston Mines, and whatever.
Nice.
And they would hold open jam sessions. And I'm like, this is fun. But just being a singer who doesn't play an instrument, I could never really lead the band through anything.
Right.
So I was like, okay, slow blues in G, or whatever. It was like kind of the lowest common denominator. You can play with 5 or 6 guys you've never met before at varying.
It's hard to play like a 3-part song at an open jam with guys you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Go
So
with the shuffle.
I was sort of frustrated by that, and I'm like, well, if I want to advance at all, I got to start having kind of build a repertoire, and I got to have a hot band behind me, because otherwise I'm, I can only be, I don't know how Tasha feels, but as a vocalist, I can only be as good as the guys behind me.
That's
right?
right.
Absolutely.
And if the drummer, the bass player's messing up, most of the audience, and I look distraught or something, the audience is going to be looking at me like he really didn't bring the thunder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When in fact I had a lot of thunder in me, but there was whatever.
The drummer keeps missing the one.
Many of those situations.
Right.
That that's where I get my humor from, because it has happened a lot, and a lot of times that. Voice gets louder because I'm trying to cover up what's going on. Or I take the song somewhere else and like, okay, now let's come back in.
And it's a good it is a good part of the resume though, to know how to sort of like persevere through those times when you're with guys that are a little bit weaker or whatever.
Right.
Yes,
For sure. You
like
gotta be
muscling
you gotta
through.
roll right. You have to kind of muscle through it, exactly. So when I finally got a car, so around that time I convinced somebody to bring me down to the south side to go to the Checkerboard Lounge. And that place was, of course, like legendary. Buddy Guy had previously owned it, but he had moved on and left behind his old partner, L.C. Thurman, who was, but Buddy's brother Phil would still hang out there, and Cotton, all those guys were down there. And, that just kind of became like my college of musical knowledge. I was like, when I hit that place for the first time, the tables were like half as wide as this, and it would be packed. So when you sat down, you had to make friends with the people at the table, or just be very uncomfortable the rest of the night. So usually I had, back then, I was drinking, I had a couple pops and just started getting along really good with everyone around me, and the dance floor people would be out there doing all kinds of dirty dancing. I've seen moves I haven't seen before or since, people just like, the inhibitions just went out the window. You just checked them at the door when you walked in there, and came in and had fun, and that kind of always stuck with me. And I started, I became really fond of one guy who had a regular Thursday night there named Vance Kelly, and Vance was a great band leader, and he played, 6 nights a week, and the band was just skin tight. And I was like, wow, how did they just go from song to song, like everything? Like he would do like a 40-minute medley. The music would never stop. Everything was kind of linked together. It was unbelievable. And I was like, wow, how do they practice so much? And I'm like, well, they don't practice. They just play every night, right?
Yeah. That is their practice.
That's how they do it. And once you see it 100 times, you're like, well, it's not really completely off the top. I could see the little signals with the guitar, the neck of the guitar, or whatever. I was picking up, so I was absorbing so much on how a band worked on stage and and he was very generous with stage time. Maybe because he was just, he played so often. He was like, hey, the kid's here, let him sing a few, But I was like, I jumped in there, and he made sure that the group always played my songs as well as they played his.
That's awesome.
He'd chew them out a little bit if they were slacking. He goes, hey, don't do Pat like that. You know what I mean? And I'm going, that's funny. So Vance just had he played all throughout, all the ghetto clubs in Chicago. He didn't very rarely strayed up to the north side to play those big clubs. He stayed in the hood, and people just loved him. He had a ginormous following, and pretty much any time there was a African American artist of any note like rolling through town, they'd get word that they should go see Vance, or they already knew about it, or whatever. He was the guy.
Right.
And through him, I met Tyrone Davis. I met Lou Rawls. I met Otis Clay. I met Ray Goodman and Brown. I met so many superstars that it was, to me, and that, my love for R&B was, it had developed over the, I always like a good, hot shot guitar solo as much as the next guy.
Right.
But I'm a singer. I like to hear guys who can really sing. And Vance could do it, And R&B, on the west side of Chicago, particularly on the west side, there was more of a soul influence there in their blues. The north side was all the guitar players, rocking out, and the south side had some soul, and then some of the really low down guys, the really old guys straight. There was a lot of Mississippi in Chicago. And a lot of Memphis, a lot of people from the south. Whatever you hear the stories of the Great Migration and stuff.
I mean, that's how most of the.
That's how they ended up there, you know,
right.
or and here in Detroit.
Yeah.
But, right, I'm going to cut you off real quick because I got to do a station break.
Yes, ma'am.
And then why don't we hear one of those tunes after that?
Sure.
So, again, they want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching Hot Flash Happy Hour on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. You can watch us streaming live every week from 7 to 8 on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. And we also want you to share with your friends if you enjoy the show or the many shows on the station. We encourage you to watch as well. So like, subscribe, comment. Let us know how we're doing. Give us suggestions and everything. So we'll get back to you on that. And
I don't know
again, we thank you for watching Hot Flash Happy Hour. I'm Tosha Owens. This is Jimmy Alter. And it's our very, very special guest we have in the house, Mr. Pat Smiley. And
I don't know if we have. I don't think we have any audio right now. We can post the songs that we're
we'll
gonna
post
play
the songs for sure
under the video or whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. So let's talk about some of those songs and how you came to write them, and then I want to touch on your relationship with the man who brought me into the blues world, Mr. McCarty.
Oh,
Yeah, excellent.
So that's a good one.
Can I talk about Jim first?
Let's do Jim.
That would be the proper order.
Yeah.
So, while I was still in Chicago, so first of all, as a kid, you know, the Rockets were one of my favorite groups growing up, you know, and but I was young, but I did get to see them on their final farewell tour of the farewell show, and so that was the one and only time I saw Jim and Dave and Johnny all together at Pine Knob. But so I'd always kind of just kept tabs on any of the former members of the band, you know, just through internet searches or whatever. And I came back for some reason in I want to say 2005. I was home for Christmas break, I believe, and I just happened to look in the Detroit news or something, and Jimmy was advertised at playing at some cigar bar in Birmingham. I want to say it was called Edison's or I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
But it was sort of a small place, and they were playing, and I'm like, wow, this is I can just walk up to them and say hello.
Right. Your heroes. It's like, whoa.
Right. So afterwards, I had one of my records with me. I'd recorded a record in 2003, so I brought a copy of my CD. And I laid it on him. You know, I helped him like all the guys do, right? I helped Jim with this amp to the car. Let me
carry that for you.
So that's how you make friends with him, I guess.
By the way.
You carry his stuff to the car. But we shook my hand and said, oh, thanks for coming out. And I gave him a CD. And I didn't think too much more of it. I went to Chicago and carried on. And I found out later, after the fact, that through Vince Knight, who used to be Jim's guitar tech, that Jim, actually took the CD home and listened to it and would play it he liked this I guess the songwriting or whatever.
Oh, nice.
So fast forward about 5 years, in 2010 I started making some trips back here to help my mother care for my grandma, and I'd just give her a break, you know, for the weekend or whatever. And so I'd come back to Howell and stay in the condo there with my grandma, and while my mom would go to the casino or whatever she did to blow off steam, or go up north to her cabin. And I saw Jim was playing at Callahan's or something. I went to go see him play and talked to him. I reminded him who I was, and he remembered me, and we did a couple numbers together. And I don't know, then it was just every time I came back, which was maybe once every 2-3 months for a weekend, I'd call ahead and find out where he was playing. You know, one time it was at Freddy's. And actually I remember he was doing a jam or played a gig at Freddy's, and I had talked to Freddie about trying to bring my Chicago band to Detroit. And I was trying to get us out playing out somewhere on the road, touring a little bit in the Midwest. And he was really the first guy that said, yeah, I like your sound. Yeah, let's do it. And I was like, what? Really? Okay, great. Well, unfortunately, Freddie passed away before it could happen. So I called Jim. I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm already planning to be in town. And, you know, my gig fell through. So he's like, well, you know, I'm playing a weekend at the Blue Goose. Why don't you come be my special guest that weekend, and that was kind of the start of it, you know. And we started playing. Then we would do that every 3 months, you know, or whatever, a couple
you
times.
You guys have
a year.
amazing chemistry together. It's like you can see the mutual respect between.
It's weird for a relationship that's like kind of like it's newer probably than people would think it is.
Right.
People probably think you guys have known each other for 25 years or something.
Well, now we almost have.
Yeah.
Well, almost. Not quite, but since 2005 was when I met him. So anyway, so that's how we kind of carried on, and I met a lot of great musicians and made a lot of friends through those gigs and those visits with Jim on those weekends. So anyways, so then I started, so when I finally made up my mind to come back here, stuff in Chicago was it was getting kind of rough for me, and for a lot of different reasons, but I decided I better hightail it out of there and come back home to where I had more support system and stuff. And so I moved back here in 2015, and I'd been in touch before. I actually met Josh Ford, Motor City Josh.
Oh, yes.
When he lived very briefly, maybe like 10 months in Chicago in the early 90s or late 90s.
Right.
And I'd met him out there at a gig. We both played one of the same bars.
Right.
And I was like, who's this Motor City Josh guy? I'm from Detroit. I'm going to go check him out.
Right, yeah.
And I remember that gig. He was just playing solo acoustic, and he was one of the first guys I saw who ever brought like a stomp board, you know? I mean, it was great. It was such a... It was a big difference than the normal guy just, who didn't have any beat to play to, you know? And he kind of remembered me, and at one point he sent me an email like, hey, I'm opening up this studio if you're ever looking to record. I'm like, thanks, I made a mental note.
Yeah.
So when I got back here, Josh and I probably spent 2 years just kind of, I don't know, not 2 full years, but we spent a lot of time talking about working together and talking about writing songs before we ever did. And I think in a way that's been part of our chemistry or whatever together, is that we shared a lot of common musical touchstones, you know what I mean? And so I could say, well, this is like this old song by this guy, and he would go, oh yeah, I know that. You know what I mean?
got what you're going at.
And so that was good, and we started writing together, and we just took our time. He never pressured me to like, hey,
get this done.
Come on, you're gonna pony up for some studio time or what? Are we just gonna write songs every week? And I was like, just let's wait till we get a decent little batch together. And so he never pressured me like that, and he really, I can't say enough about it. He's probably been the best friend my music's ever had, because I mean,
shout out to you, Josh Ford.
Josh Ford.
We love you, man.
Josh.
Yeah.
He had so many good ideas in terms of arrangements and just feel and stuff that, it was all I had to do was, my role in it was sort of to come up with the initial kernel of an idea or a melody or a hook, and I would come and I would sing it in my phone or play it for him when I got there, or sing it back to him until he picked out the chords, and then we're like, now we need a bridge, and he goes, well, how about something like this? I go, nah. Well, how about this? Boom. And he would just have he could come up with 3-4 ideas that I could pick from him. And I'm like, I think I like the third one best.
Choose your own adventure.
It's great. That was great.
That's awesome.
So I don't know. So now we've done 2 projects together, and I'm really proud of the work we've done together, and I just. I owe everything to him, because he worked with me through some times where I didn't quite have it all together and probably wasn't ready to.
The last 2 albums were both there, right?
Yeah. Those are the only 2 we've done, but together. But I think it's my best work.
Here we go.
Oh, yes.
The Fix. It's Broke Down 2, featuring Mr. Jim Hardy.
I used to live my life in the fast lane, spending money just like it was rain. Mr. Repeat Offender, Mr. Fender Bender, I was a low lonesome, 'cause I didn't have no one to scratch my back. I was just a broke down Chevy till she loved me like a Cadillac. That's alright. I had 300,000 miles on me when I finally broke down in the dirt. I was indeed in need of alignment. Folks used to say I was a piece of work. Don't talk to me about lonesome, 'cause I didn't have no one to scratch my back. I was just a broke down Chevy till she loved me like a Cadillac. That's alright. Well, my baby pulled up in a big tow truck. She hooked me up and she brought me on home. She about the best damn thing that ever happened to me. I was a lonely man living alone. Well, now don't talk to me about nothing, 'cause she's the reason that I made it back. I was just a broke down Chevy till she loved me like a Cadillac. I was just a broke down Chevy till she loved me like a Cadillac. I was just a broke down Chevy till she loved me like a Cadillac.
That's an awesome picking there, Mr. McCarty.
Shout out to the rest of you guys. Is that Todd and Alex that are on?
No, that's Chris Smith on bass.
Oh, excellent.
Todd Glass on drums. Evan Mercer on
Keys.
keyboards, and Johnny Rhodes on guitar. Johnny rhythm. Johnny played
The rest of
two
the
parts, right?
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
Johnny played lead. You know, Josh takes a few solos, especially whenever some slide playing's called for.
Oh, of course.
It's nice
Yeah.
to have him as the kind of secret weapon.
Oh yeah,
coming
Right.
Josh is an amazing
what I mean?
slide player.
He
Yeah,
loves to
yeah.
play.
Congratulations to all. It's a great album. That's a great song there.
Thank you.
And you just had a show on PBS, right? I saw.
We did a little I got contacted by somebody at from Wayne State to ask if we would come down and tape a segment for a show they call Metro Arts, Detroit. Yeah. And I was wondering how they heard of me. I thought maybe somebody would come down to Northern Lights and saw me with Dennis Coffey, because we get a lot of Wayne State staff and students down there. But I honestly, I forget what the story the lady ended up telling me. It wasn't what I thought. It wasn't somebody who saw us there. They got my name some other way. So we had initially planned it for back in March, and like late March, right after, it got canceled because of the pandemic and everything got locked down. And she said, well, when we can get back to doing stuff, we'll call you back. So it ended up being last November we came in for the afternoon and just cut the segment with a brief interview and 2 performances.
Nice.
Okay.
So it was nice,
Very nice.
And
I wasn't home the other day when it aired, but when I got home, living with my folks still for 12 more days, people. But then I got home and my dad was like, I really enjoyed it. I would like that, so.
Oh, nice.
You won over a 71-year-old man in St. Clair Shores at the very least, so.
How awesome is that? And too, we want to take a second too to say thank you guys again for tuning in to Hot Flash Happy Hour right here on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So we want you to follow, share, comment, tell somebody about it. And also want to mention too that you still have time to get tickets and come tonight to see an amazing jazz show. It's the Detroit Legacy Jazz Series presented by WJZZ Radio. And it's going to be at the Hotel St. Regis, the beautiful renovated, and it's just, from what I hear, just all the rave right now. So you want to get there, go to eventbrite.com and grab your tickets for tonight for the Detroit Legacy Jazz Series. And tonight's guest, it's a 6 weeks going on. It's been 7 weeks total, but 6 weeks going on after this, including this. Alan Denard, Detroit's own Alan Denard, will be here tonight as the special guest. So you want to come in and check out him and his trio and all that good stuff, and enjoy some jazz, some cocktails, and some dress up, kind of be cute.
I think people are.
I'll see you there.
I think people are looking for more things like that, right? Like events, real events.
Right.
Me and Pat were talking about this for a minute before we started the show. That people don't mind paying, a little bit of money to actually go have a real show and a real event now. And I think people are just itching to get back out and kind of looking for that more than ever. And we get to reap the benefits of that, right? Like if people actually want to see music and art again.
Right.
It's nice. Yeah.
I mean, we just had a good show. Let's enter that at the Legends Party with the Legends show. My first produced show.
Nice. How did that go for you?
It went very well. We had Mr. McCarty, Jim McCarty on the show, and Motor City Johnson.
Yeah.
How about
Speaking of,
Speaking of, whoever we're talking about was on that show. It was at Token Lounge in Westland, and it was great. And we're going to look forward to doing some more shows. We have some coming up, and you'll hear about them soon. Sponsored by Mama, which was, what do you call it? Inaugurated that night, kind of. It's the Michigan Association of Music Artists. So it's all genre eligible to enter. It's free to be a member, and you can contact us right now through our Facebook page, or you can contact me at my page. I can give you all the information while our website is being built. So Tasha at TashaOwensMusic.com is my email, and you can check it out on my page too at TashaOwens.com or TashaOwensMusic.com.
More good shows to come. That's
More good shows.
Poor Tasha's Tasha knows that say sound check is very early at that venue, and we would never say anything bad about that. But if you expect artists to show up 5 hours early or something like that, you could at least give them free water. So Tasha knew that wasn't the case at this particular place. So they're bringing in cases of water. Tasha's ordering us pizzas. Tasha's doing everything usually somebody that puts a show together is doing.
Right.
Well, come to find out, that's very hard to do and also perform.
It's really hard to do.
It's a very high stress day to do that.
I did have a lot of help though towards. It was just it was unplanned kind of thing. So Roger definitely stepped up and helped out. Shelly Mack, I last minute MC, and she killed it. Yeah. So just things you don't think about, and oh crap.
Yeah.
Right. And David DeLeon, thank you for doing the lanyards for us and all that stuff too.
It's a good idea for the musicians, I think, to have a little bit more involvement with the actual show creation. You know, I really think so, because if that one show was any sign of like what could come up in the future, like I think we're the best ones at having those ideas of what makes a good show, right?
Right.
You know, I mean, like that's what we're used to doing for people, you know, and
like you were saying, I mean, we were talking about trying to. I myself, I mean, the pandemic, like I didn't perform at all. Tomorrow, I mean, Saturday, I am playing a porch concert with Jim, and it was gonna literally be my first time out since.
Shout it out for people. Where's it at?
Yeah. Okay. Porch concert at David Rebello's house in St. Clair Shores.
Yeah.
The address is
The
3.
Shores. We just got a gig.
Did you?
Not there, but right in the same.
Yeah.
So it'll be Saturday, August 7th. This Saturday at 7 p.m. The address is 30007 Mason Street, and Jim and the band kick it off at 7 o'clock. And he's told me that I'll be expected to sing 3 or 4 numbers towards the end of the show.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
I'll probably hit the stage about the porch.
The porch.
About 8 o'clock.
We love the driveway.
Do you know Dave or no?
I've just met him. I met him at last year's party.
Okay.
I sort of crashed that one, right? I go, Jim's playing, I'm going. And I got up there and Jim called me up and I did a couple numbers and Dave liked it, I guess, well enough to request me this year.
It is beneficial to stage jack. I do it all the time.
All right. Dave is a very good, he's a very good St. Clair Shores city councilman and everything. Now he does a ton for the city. Really cool dude.
Yeah, he just got reelected.
He was one of the top guys there. His aunt actually grew up in the house that I just sold. So Dave and those guys used to spend their Christmases when they were little kids in my house that I owned for 13 years.
I saw some back and forth between you on Facebook with his sister Jerry.
Yes,
so I was like, how did they have some connection?
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But what a great thing that like this house I had lived in for 13 years, that like I could see all these pictures of it from back in the 50s when it was first built, when it was a brand new house. It was a very cool relationship. Yeah, so awesome that you're playing there. Yeah.
Right.
What else do you have coming up? You have anything past that?
And
on Sunday, September 19th, I'm doing the release party for my new record, Last Chance. We'll be at the Caju Cafe.
all right.
Nice.
And we're playing an early afternoon set from 2:30 to 6. So, and that'll be my first time playing at the Caju since they've built the big outside beer garden.
You'll love it.
And
It's
I
such
really
a
like
great
that
place to
setup.
play.
It's great.
It's wonderful.
That was kind of going back to what I was saying, like during the pandemic, all the bars were closed. So they were one of the places that really seemed to, I don't know, they just, it seemed like such a brilliant move. They had all this space, and they built that. I'm like, genius. And I mean, it was one of the few places I could go and not feel like I was going to get cooties or anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
It was
true.
still a lot of space. So.
And I think
Good job to the Caju.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think definitely for 3/4 of the year, that's a really great answer, right? I mean, and they're really using it to its full potential. I mean, I know most weekends they're having like multiple things per day now and everything.
Yep.
I saw they're just gonna have like a 4 or 5 day music festival out in that beer garden also.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, they're really pushing it, and go figure when a musician is a part owner of the bar, things like that happen, right? Like,
And he's probably seen all kinds of different ideas traveling the world.
Right, yeah. And we love John Rutherford, but the last couple times at the Caju, I was just talking to RJ about this, that I haven't seen him around lately. We got to see him around the bar a little bit more now.
Right. Well, I know where you live, John. I'll just crash your house.
He had a lot of issues, recently.
You're going to party with me or not?
The poor guy, the bar flooded, his house flooded, drunk driver hit the fence at the bar at the beer garden.
Oh my God.
They just had to replace a big part of the fence. I mean, there's always been part of bar ownership, I guess.
Right.
Who is the release party? Is that going to be with the recorded band or like the live band? Because you kind of have
the live band.
Okay, with J-Bone and Brendan and
Are you bringing the ladies from Chicago for backing vocals?
They won't be there. I tried, but they weren't available. So I will. We had so to continue on. I have scheduled a weekend in December. The first weekend in December, I'll be going back to Chicago.
Oh, cool.
For the first time since this all started. And we have a gig at a place called the Epiphany Center for the Arts, which is a new venue and a nice new listening room and a ticketed event.
Do you have different guys there, or are you taking J-Bone and Brendan?
I'm bringing the guys. I'm bringing my Detroit band. Because the last few times I played out there, I reunited with my old Chicago mates, which was a lot of fun. but we didn't get a chance to rehearse.
Right. Yeah.
And
there's a lot of new material.
We tried to pull off some of the new material, and it didn't quite go. It was a little bit of. I had to muscle through it. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, and I just didn't want that. I just felt like it was time to start trying to, really had to put my best foot forward when I go there. So I'm going to bring the crew, and my plan right now is probably to rent some kind of Airbnb, a house where the band can all stay at least crash for the night. And I'm looking for a second gig somewhere in the suburbs that
make it worth the drive.
Friday night. So
make it that makes sense. I love that idea because
I
think around Detroit we do get we're very used to just like everybody is freelance, right?
Right.
And so nobody actually has a band, right? Like a lot of people
Lego
don't.
pieces. I call it musical Lego pieces.
And I think going forward, a lot of people like we were talking about like if you want to put on good shows and all that.
Right.
It's got to be the guys that you play with all the time because it's got to sound good. It can't sound like you're playing the song at an open jam, right?
You got to bring that fire that you know is going to be there.
We tend to have a little bit of that influence around here just because the open jams are so popular, right? But I definitely think it's time for like people to start buckling down and like we were talking about like just creating that show of it. And
I think it's the same everywhere though, and I think it's for whatever reason it's kind of the nature of the blues scene or whatever. I'm sad to say, but it's kind of it. I mean, I remember I've heard in Chicago, like I remember my friend of mine got hired by some singer to do a gig, and he called her and he's all excited. He's like, "Someone to rehearsal," and she just hung up on him, like literally, there ain't no rehearsal. You're just gonna Well, what kind of show can you really put on that way? You know what I mean?
If you're playing all shuffles and hoes all night long, sure, maybe,
absolutely.
right? But like outside of that, if you're playing anything that has a few different parts,
if you're playing if you're trying to play your original songs, it's
you don't want to spend your whole time on stage looking at everybody else behind you to
like
make
you want
sure.
to actually be able to present,
entertain the people instead of because then they know like what the fuck is going on. They just hired them this morning, didn't they?
Right. So I mean, like we were talking about, I hadn't played at all over the break, and I just I was hoping to, when I do come out, I want to try to take it to another level, whatever that means. You know what I mean? What it means is like now, I don't know. I spent a lot of time being frustrated that I doing little gigs at Sabby's or the Blue Goose or whatever, and sometimes people wouldn't return my calls or something, and I'm like, seriously? This is making me so mad. I'm just gonna get so mad. I'm just gonna up and go do something else. And so I decided that I'm gonna try to spend the break. We wrote and recorded the whole album during the pandemic, and I thought, well, maybe this is a chance for me to get my music kind of slided by some of the gatekeepers, that are out there who control all the festivals and everything. I can get my music right to a DJ who might play.
Right.
Well, speaking on that note too, I do have to commend you. There's even people that have told me it's exactly what I experienced about you. Are badass at marketing yourself. I wanted to give you some kudos on that.
Oh, thanks.
You do that so very well. And I was talking to somebody else and he had the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Pat does a really great job at marketing yourself.
I hate that. I hate it because I don't want to seem like I'm like a nartust or a megalomaniac. But I'm the only one who's going to do the job.
Yes.
And I've tried to hire publicists and to work with me. And Josh told me something. Nobody cares more about or knows more how to better promote yourself than you do. And I sat there and I'm like, damn right. I don't need to have to pay anybody $1,000 or $1,500 to. And you know what I mean? I'm like, I can do this myself. I know how to write a bio. I know how to send a mailing to a DJ. You know what I mean? Or to a magazine or something.
And your tone is never like narcissistic. It's like because it's okay to talk about yourself in the way just like, hey, if you like what I do, come check this out.
That's what I try to do.
And it's a lot better approach than like, oh, I'm the greatest thing that's ever happened. Yeah. You see some people around town have that approach, and it's like that's a little like off-putting for me anyway. For some people it might not be. Some people might be attracted to that. I mean,
I depends on your market too. A lot of times if you're marketing the millennials, that's how they think. You know what I mean? So you have to go. I won't say all millennials, but the younger groups, some of the younger groups, because it is we're raising narcissists. we're making people.
Hell, I mean, I was in this one band for like a year, and it works great for that person, and it's led them to a few Detroit Music Awards and stuff like that. When outside of the perspective of the band, I would have said that you don't have to laugh about it. I'm just being honest. But those DMAs were probably unjust and unqualified. I mean, but it's a lot of like if a person is saying like, "Oh, I'm the greatest thing ever," 80 times a day, then some people are going to start following that too. But it is commendable to not do that. And I think you're always just like, hey, come check this out. And
that's kind of why I hope I present it that way. I mean,
I
know I post like sometimes, several times. I get because I have a bunch of like these blues music groups, and I said, well, I'm gonna subscribe to any blues group that has more than 2,000 members.
Right. Yeah.
And speaking of subscribing,
boom.
See how that rolled that in there? You're watching Hot Flash Happy Hour. Right here on WJZZ Cool TV, where you can watch it every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. And we can watch us streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. And we want you to subscribe, like, comment, share, and give us some ideas on what you want to see on the show or who you want to see on the show. We'll try and get them for you. Let's make that a challenge.
Let's listen to one more tune, and then we'll get all Pat's socials and everything.
Yeah.
My baby's all the way in my corner. 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 My baby's got those big brown eyes. She don't pay no mind to those other guys. She's got a smile that just lights up the sky. She ain't no false-hearted friend. My baby's all the way in my corner. My baby's all the way in my corner. My baby's all the way in my corner. My baby's all the way in my corner.
Being faithful. I don't know. Celebrating.
She's the cream and the sugar and the coffee in my cup. She's the only reason I'm still waking up. Too much loving just ain't enough. She ain't no false-hearted friend. My baby's all the way in my corner. 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 In the evening, before I go to sleep, I thank my God for sending her to me. I once was blind, but now I see that she ain't no false-hearted friend. My baby's all the way in my corner. My baby's all the way in my corner.
I love this one.
My baby's all the way in my corner. corner. My baby's all the way in my 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 corner. Stand right there beside me. My baby's all the way in my corner. I got a good friend. My baby's all the way in my corner. Baby love me. Baby needs me.
Walter went to school with Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad, and although he hasn't been able to get a hold of Vince to confirm that the character was, he used his name as the character, we're pretty sure that that's where the connection was.
That's awesome.
But he's a great player, and Keith, of course, is he's so great. He just, we kind of just gave him told him we played the track for him and kind of gave him the vibe we were going for,
Right.
and he nails it every time,
Yeah.
And then he gives us all. Then the hard part is, as a producer, having all these great parts. I let the girls do their own arrangements. Keith does all his arrangements, and then we're left with so much stuff we have to, Josh and I just go, give us whatever you want, give us everything you got, and we'll sort through it. And I mean, that's a great way to do it, but, it's such a nightmare to go through it. I'm like, this part's so great, I don't want to cut that. This part, so whatever.
It's really like a big, huge puzzle, right? Like you're trying to figure out, what piece actually fits where.
Right.
Now, what song was the hardest for you to write?
Oh. Well, there's a song on the new record called Something on My Heart, which started, I don't know why it was hard for me to write, but I had the melody rolling around in my head. I remember humming. I was up at my family's cabin up north, and I was just sitting out staring out at Lake Superior, and it was dark, so really all I could hear was the lapping of the waves hitting the shore, and I just started humming this little melody. I sang it in my phone, and I brought it back to Josh, and he kind of he came up with some cool changes, and he's like, oh, that's a pretty chord. He kept on playing all these kind of jazz chords, and I'm like, man, I got to come up with something that matches how cool the music is, And it took me a while. I had to do several rewrites of that one, but in the end, it came out nice. And again, Keith came up with a killer horn arrangement, and another kind of happy accident that Josh, we were doing the demo, and we came to the solo, and Josh just kind of played these, I don't know, this little groove, totally different from the rest of the song. The rest of the song was like a mid-tempo Al Green thing, and then Josh just kind of went into this that he was just strumming as a kind of a placeholder. And I'm like, that's excellent. I like that. And I go, you know what I got this idea. We were like, go put that at the end, and we'll just have everyone with solo, and we'll have the horns come in. And so that song actually ends with 2 minutes of nearly 2 minutes of that instrumental outro.
That's
right?
cool.
Speaking of 2 minutes, we have 2 minutes left.
2 minutes.
How we tell the folks how to get your music and the name of your albums and all that stuff?
Yes. So my last two records, the one I'm promoting now is called Last Chance, and the one I did before that with Motor City Josh is called Lonesome for a Long Time.
I love that one. That's my
Thank you.
favorite.
Both albums were released on my own label called Fat Bank Music, and they're available everywhere music is sold digitally. CDs are on Amazon, or you can order them from my website, which is patsmiley.com. PATSMILLIE.
Order them through the site so that Pat gets the full cut.
Absolutely.
Or I'm selling signed versions through my website.
Oh,
so
cool. Nice.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I sell a few of them every now and again. It's always nice to send one out to a fan. So,
Heck that's
thanks for having me, guys.
We are.
Super
We are
fun.
so happy you're here. This is a great time.
Your
a great
socials
conversation.
too. I'm sorry, wait. Your socials.
Oh yeah, and your
Facebook
Instagram
page. All that
or
stuff.
My Instagram is
your handles there.
The Real Pat Smiley. at The Real Pat Smiley. And Twitter, I don't even know what it was. My Twitter account is not. I have 65 followers.
Right,
hey,
yeah.
But 65 followers can't be wrong.
Yeah, that's
65
right.
more sold CDs.
Yeah.
So, PatSmiley.com is the main link
Excellent.
to get to me, my contact info, and my schedule and stuff.
All right.
Excellent.
So we want to thank Pat Smiley for being on the show.
Thanks,
You guys
it,
had a great time. And we're going to see you next week again, and it'll see you tonight at the Hotel St. Regis. And on behalf of myself, Tosha Owens, and my beautiful co-host, Mr. Jimmy, we want you guys to have a great week. So see you next week.
I have my condoms, y'all.